The EU is not perfect, and it never was, but it is better. Better together in trade, as part of the largest economic bloc in the world. Better together in science, where collaboration knows no borders. Better together in security, where unity strengthens our defences against petty tyrants and expansionist dictators. And better together in spirit, where shared challenges are met with shared solutions. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to speak on what I believe is one of the most critical debates of our time. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, good evening. And to my fellow speakers, good luck. In this room tonight, we gather not merely to debate, but to confront the consequences of a choice, one that has reverberated through the corridors of our economy, our society, and our identities. Brexit is not just a policy, it has become a national tragedy. A tragedy stitched together by broken promises. A tragedy bound by lies. A tragedy haunted by the ghost of a future we were promised but never provided with. We were told it would make Britain great again. And yet, look around. Are we stronger? Are we freer? Are we better? Tonight, I will argue that rejoining the EU is not only desirable, but necessary. I will frame this debate in 3 key points. Firstly, I will show you how Brexit has failed Britain. Secondly, why the dream of EU membership remains a promise worth pursuing. And lastly, how rejoining is not just possible, but essential for the future of this country. But before I go on, it is my duty, and indeed my honour, to introduce the speakers for the opposition tonight. Opening the case for opposition, you'll soon hear from Daniel Vermeury, a second-year PPEist at Exeter College, and our wonderful Director of Research here at the Union. A quick Google search of Daniel reveals he has an IQ higher than Einstein. Confused, I asked him, Daniel, are you really pro-Brexit? He told me in a state of panic, no, I want to go back in the EU. Rosalie, I'm a staunch Remainer. Now, Daniel is a good friend and a very hard-working member of committee. But I can't help feeling a little bit disappointed that he so willingly abandoned his true beliefs in a quick grab for personal advancement. All I can say is, members, he must have been thoroughly inspired by the Brexit camp of career politicians. Secondly, you will hear from the Right Honourable Sir Desmond Swayne, an avid Brexiteer who has been the Conservative MP for New Forest West since 1997. Members, I'm thrilled Sir Swayne has graced us with his presence, awake, I might add, which is more than can be said for his performance during the EU withdrawal bill debate, where he fell asleep in the Houses of Commons. Perhaps he was dreaming of the sunlit uplands promised by Brexit. Eventually, he would wake up to reality. 4 years later, that is, calling it monstrous that British businesses now have to fill in heaps of paperwork to trade with the EU. Members, what on earth did he think he was voting for? It seems even in his dreams, he didn't think this through. And now the rest of us are living his Brexit nightmare. Thirdly, you will hear from Baroness Claire Fox, a former Brexit Party member of European Parliament, journalist, and the founder of the Academy of Ideas. I can only hope that one day she actually comes up with a good one herself. Her literary works include I Find That Offensive, and her second book, I Still Find That Offensive. Well, Baroness, let me tell you what I find offensive. You're rejecting multiculturalism as divisive, you're defending Gary Glitter's right to download child pornography, and you're suggesting the Bosnian genocide evidence was fake. Because if that's your Academy's idea of a masterclass in free speech, perhaps the real offence is calling those ideas Academy-worthy in the first place. Lastly, you will hear from Sir Christopher Chope, a barrister and Conservative MP, closing the case for side opposition. Let's hope he doesn't close it the same way he's closed the door on progress, from voting against same-sex marriage and dismantling the gender pay gap to opposing LGBT-inclusive education and blocking protections for girls at risk of FGM. So Christopher was once described by his own party as a Jurassic embarrassment. And much like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, he seems determined to recreate a small, isolated island where progress is extinct, diversity is under threat, and the walls close in on anything resembling forward thinking. Mr. President, Mr. President, these are your guest speakers and they are most welcome. 8 years ago, the people of this country made a choice that has left us isolated, diminished, and weaker than before. To those who voted leave, I say this: you were lied to. Not just misled, not just misinformed, lied to. Do not forget the promises emblazoned on buses and broadcast in campaign ads. Promises of £350 million a week for the NHS. Promises of trade deals so plentiful they'd fall in our laps. Promises of an economy unshackled from EU bureaucracy. Promises of falling migration. Promises of sovereignty restored, and promises that Britain would reclaim its place as a leader on the world stage. Every single one of those promises was broken, and today we bear that cost. They will tell you that this country was broken and they fought to fix it. The reality is they broke it, and now we have to fix it. If you voted to regain sovereignty, instead, you got borders that have never been more porous. If you voted to cut migration, instead, you have a doubling of net migration since 2016. If you voted for £350 million a week for the NHS, instead, you have an NHS in crisis, understaffed, underfunded, and overwhelmed. Ambulance wait times, the longest on record. Cancer care, the longest on record. If you voted for bold new trade deals, instead, you got 5 new trade deals, dwarfed in scale by the unparalleled access we once enjoyed with the European single market. If you voted for a trade revolution, instead, you got a trade collapse. If you voted for a booming economy, instead, exports have plummeted. Small businesses are suffocating in paperwork, and industries like fishing, once the poster child of Brexit, are being decimated by domestic tariffs and quotas. If you voted for a Great Britain, you were left with a Little Britain. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not sovereignty. This is not control. This is not opportunity. Let's call it what it is: a total national tragedy. By 2035, Brexit is predicted to have cost the UK £300 billion. That is not a distant abstraction. It is a fiscal black hole that will impact every community, every classroom, every hospital bed in this country. The pound has plummeted. Our exports have fallen by 15%, and foreign investment is slipping through our fingers. 40,000 jobs in London, lost. 2 million jobs nationwide, lost. These are mere statistics until it's you. They say that Brexit hasn't changed much, but tell that to the single mother in Manchester, skipping meals to feed her children, as the average person is £2,000 worse off each year. Tell that to the small business owner in Birmingham, a steel parts manufacturer, struggling to survive after losing European clients and facing regulatory chaos that has crushed his trade. Tell that to the cancer patient in Bristol, whose life-saving treatment has been delayed because the NHS is short of 4,000 European doctors. And tell that to the young graduate in Liverpool, stuck in a dead-end job because opportunities to work, study, and live abroad evaporated. These aren't just numbers. They are lives disrupted, dreams deferred, and futures stolen. Brexit has robbed a generation of its future. My generation, your generation, our generation. The Erasmus scheme, scrapped. Horizon Europe funding, scrapped. And let us not forget the most personal loss of all, our rights as EU citizens. The fettering of our freedom to live, work, and thrive across 27 countries, gone. Now we have less rights than our parents enjoyed. And that is atrocious. Because this isn't just about economics. It is about identity. It is a debate of hearts and a debate of minds. Brexit has not only shrunk our wallets, it has shrunk our role in the world, and we have lost a seat at the table. Instead of leading, we are following. Instead of shaping the global agenda, we are reacting to it. Instead of being a voice of authority, we are a nation on mute. Nobody mentions the UK anymore. We have made ourselves irrelevant. Members, these are not my words. They're Sir Richard Dearlove's, the former head of MI6, and he could not have put it clearer. Irrelevant. He could not have put it more alarmingly irrelevant. And now, Brexit has not just failed, it has been rejected. Rejected by Brexiteers and rejected by Remainers. Even Marine Le Pen, the firebrand of French Euroscepticism, has given up on Frexit, admitting that leaving the EU is a surefire path to disaster. And the British people know it too. Polls after poll tell the same story. Out of 233 polls conducted in the last 3 years, 230 show majority support for rejoining. And here's the most damning fact of all. Just one constituency out of 632 thinks Brexit was the right choice. I will concede, however, that the EU is no silver bullet that will terminate all our sorrows or a shining beacon that will fix every mess. No, members, the EU is not perfect, and it never was. But it is better together in trade as part of the largest economic bloc in the world, better together in science, where collaboration knows no borders, better together in security, where unity strengthens our defences against petty tyrants and expansionist dictators, and better together in spirit, where shared challenges are met with shared solutions. This is not the time to cling to the isolationist fantasies of a little Britain. It is time to live up to the true meaning of our name, where in a bold Britain, we embrace our fellow Europeans, rejecting the suffocating confines of xenophobic rhetoric, where in a brave Britain, we embrace our global responsibilities and forge alliances that champion unity, where in a great Britain, we are not shackled by the weight of our past, but are propelled by the promise of an open, outward-looking future. So what would this look like? Simple. There would be another referendum, not necessarily this year, not necessarily in 2 years, but at some point in our future. Voters would receive a fact-checked information booklet with details about the vote, what it would mean, and accompanied by party positions. No, thank you. And those who are sceptical, let me say this. A strong Britain needs a strong Europe, and a strong Europe wants a strong Britain. So members, if you seek a more prosperous economy, if you seek a more welcoming country, if you seek more personal freedom, reopen your hearts to Europe, members, reach out your arms to Europe, members, unclench your fists to Europe, because before long, and no doubt within our lifetimes, the arguments which are being traded tonight will be played out before the country as a whole. So if there is anyone who doubts Britain's desire to re-enter the EU, who still wonders if the dreams of unity are alive in our time, and who questions whether hope can triumph over the bitterness of our past, let tonight be that answer. I beg you, members, vote to rejoin the European Union. Thank you.